Welcome to the Cosmic Echoes with Sue Brain and me, Michelle Cheyne. Exciting times as always, Sue. Lovely to see you on this beautiful, actually, summer solstice morning where the sun is shining for once. Yeah, and full moon and all these things. We're recording on summer solstice, and we might get this one out a little bit sooner because I think there's a movement going on at the moment between these full moons and planets. And first, how are you?
I'm good. I'm watching the world with interest.
Yeah.
I'm bearing witness. That's how I look at it. I sit on my imaginary bench with my cup of tea and I watch the madness go on in front of me.
Yeah. And you've been traveling a bit, so you've kind of experienced a little bit of the
Madness is everywhere. It isn't just in the UK. It's
yeah.
absolutely everywhere. I've just been in Europe, and we all know there's a lot of stuff going on politically in Europe at the moment.
Yeah.
So everywhere is feeling slightly, no, not slightly, it's feeling edgy.
Yeah, very much. And we can see this in the movement in the skies as well.
Yes.
Maybe let's touch on the moon, because the
Yes.
moon is an important thing
Well,
now.
we have the full moon tomorrow,
Yeah.
as we're recording, and it's a full moon is in very early Capricorn.
Yeah.
Which is quite significant because the second full moon in July is right at the end of Capricorn. So for me, I think that we have a month to really focus in about what the archetypal energy of this new moon in of this full moon in Capricorn. And it's interesting because when I was looking at it, I mean, Capricorn is obviously the moon is in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. And I always look at Saturn as the father.
Time also. I think we mentioned
Oh
that
yes,
before.
time, absolutely.
Yeah.
Restriction, boundaries, finger wagging, all of that kind of stuff. It's kind of the stern, benevolent father, but it brings lessons.
Yeah.
And opposite, obviously, Capricorn is opposite Cancer, and the sun therefore is in Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. So we've got a lot of moon is archetypally the mother.
Yeah.
Cancer is to do with the home, to do with the roots, to do with the ancestry, to do with nurturing, all of those kind of protection, all of that kind of energy.
Yeah.
And I was kind of looking at it thinking, is there a very powerful message here about us to start paying attention to how we were parented? Is this the message? Because we've got mum and dad, inverted commas, archetypally opposite each other in this full moon. And I just suddenly thought, what were the messages that you might have received around your parenting, around parenting yourself? Did you have to bring yourself up?
Yeah.
Do you have parents that actually cared about you? Did you have parents that overwhelmed you, that had massive expectations of you? Have you lived your life through your parents? Are you constantly trying to please your parents? That's one way of doing it. Or did you go, I would rather die than be like them? So you rebelled against them, which is kind of like the double whammy. Because, when you're in rebel, you're constantly fighting. So, there's all of these questions that's come up for me when I was looking at this full moon, particularly as it is in a T aspect with a T square with Neptune in Pisces. And the lower aspect of Neptune in Pisces is deceit, it's confusion, it's what is lies, what isn't lies. So have you lied to yourself? Have your parents lied to you? Or is there a hidden or mysterious or confusing messages around parenting? Do as I say, but not as I do. So we've got the opportunity to kind of really dig in deep at this moment in time on the solstice. Very, very strong energy here. And according to Rory Duff, who is an expert in earth energies, the ley lines of the earth really come alive during the solstice. There's kind of like a triggering process.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering about home. I'm wondering about safety, sense of belonging. That's very Cancer. And this kind of Capricornic energy, which wants to separate out from the parents. Who am I for myself? And what do I want to establish in the world as me? And is that okay to do that?
Yeah. Could there also, I mean, this is a personal thing really that I've been experiencing. Could there be a past life energy here as well? Kind of what lessons am I bringing from the other time, from other experiences?
Well, you know, Cancer, home roots, ancestry.
Yeah.
It's normally, I look more at the nodal axis to do with past life archetypal energy. Don't necessarily look at the full moon, and the full moon is about completion. So if things are coming up for you that you think, you know what, this isn't this lifetime stuff, then that's where you need to put your attention. I always say Cancer is terribly sensitive. It's psychic. It's water. It's cardinal water. It's so sensitive that anything of that nature could arise to be completed.
Yeah.
The full moon is about completion, and also letting go of anything that is holding you back, obviously. But because it is this parental axis, for me, other astrologers might disagree with me on this, but I am focusing on the parental messaging that we receive, because once we get that, then we can stand on our own 2 feet as ourselves, authentically. And that's the healing.
And that could be, you know, my parenting my inner child, any kind of thing around that. I feel Cancer's also got a very much a homey, let me withdraw and work through this emotions separately. Yeah.
Absolutely. But don't forget, you've got the moon in Capricorn that actually is calling you out. But you know, it's the moon in Capricorn's practical.
Okay. Yeah.
Capricorn is all about duty, about I don't really like using the word ambition, but it's got that aspirational thing. It's practical. It wants to get its ducks in a row. So the moon is not emotional in this particular full moon, but it's practical. So it may be looking for a way of expressing itself out in the world. Capricorn is traditionally rules the 10th house, which is the house of career.
Okay.
It is about aspiration. It is about hard work, hard graft. Capricorn wants to get to the top of that mountain and plant its flag. Will do that. I will. And so it's terribly resourceful. It's Earth. It's cardinal Earth. You know, it's driven to do that.
And to do it the right way, do the right thing.
Yes. It plans. It's a planner. It's a strategist. It's in for the long term.
Okay. Yeah.
I think, you know, this isn't because of the second full moon in Capricorn, we have a month,
which is unusual.
Yes.
Yeah.
What we're learning now, or what we may be taking on. And we have a whole month to ruminate, reflect until the full moon again, when perhaps we can release a little bit more of what doesn't serve us.
Yeah. Karmic cycles, kind of working through those in this time. I think Saturn is also going retrograde in end of June.
Oh, right, the retrograde.
Yeah.
really interesting. So Pluto is obviously retrograde at the
Yeah.
moment.
In Aquarius still.
Yeah, and so that's going to be going back into Capricorn.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm.
So we've got Saturn going retrograde on the 29th of June. And traditionally, a retrograde Saturn is really about the critic, the inner critic. You have to be really careful that you don't start beating yourself up with Saturn retrograde. But what it does, it puts you in touch with your inner authority and your relationship with external authority. People who are born with retrograde Saturn are not great with authority. They actually they can be very antagonistic towards any form of authority at all. So it's really is about understanding your relationship with authority. And again, you know, if you're constantly rebelling, it's exhausting. So it's about how do I work with my inner authority with confidence and authenticity, because that's what Saturn's wanting us to do.
Which is that parenting aspect, really. Like, how am I going to parent? Yeah, fathering.
You know, relationship with fathering. You know, are you know, is your father very strict? Was he there? All of those kind of questions can come up with a Saturn going retrograde. And it gives us time, that all the retrogrades give us time to reflect, give us time to think about things deeply and contemplatively. It's not a time for surging forward. So we have on the 2nd of July, we've got a Neptune at the moment is stationary in Pisces right at the end of the 29th degree. That's the energetic degree. It's really strong. And I feel, yes, with that's also this sort of inviting us to go in to address any confusion or delusion that we may be living with, or any lies, any deceit that we're weaving, or things are being woven around us. To, you know, it's really inviting us to address that. On a higher level, it's really about spiritual retreat. Neptune is the highest vibration of Neptune is the divine love.
Oh wow,
yes,
it's almost that mothering, nurturing.
It's the highest sense of that. I mean, if you want to say that, it's, you know, the divine mother, mothering, although Neptune, I wouldn't. Yes, I'll go with that. Obviously, but it is this sense of spiritual retreat, of taking time out, of really contemplating what is true and what isn't true. And maybe some of us will be getting, having to address the truth out of chaos, which is then we Uranus retrograde on the 2nd September. So, and Uranus is, so on the external, it's usually external events or things that happen to you in your life, that is shocks, changes, all of that kind of stuff. When it's retrograde, you can have very powerful inner insights that you just suddenly go, where did that come from, as you're driving down the motorway? So it's just being the higher aspect of Uranus is this sort of connection with the universal energy, and it can be, you know, it's possible to have a mystical experience out of the blue. So it's just being watchful and being aware, and just knowing that in September, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto all are retrograde. And this goes, and then Pluto doesn't go direct until the 10th of October. So it's not a time of surging forward. It may feel like the whole of life. These are transpersonal planets. These are generational planets. They're big outer big bloke planets. So
Yeah.
there's a sense of, it may feel like things are going backwards rather than forwards, but I look at it as a wave. You know, when a wave comes in and then it goes,
Yeah. And
and then
it builds energy. Mm.
so I feel it's going to be like that. And what comes back with that surge of wave, we don't know.
Mm.
But we've got stuff
Coming.
happening.
And there's on the Uranus side, Mars is also conjuncting Uranus.
Yes,
So there's a build up there as well.
it's a really interesting dynamic, because we have Mars conjunct Uranus, and Uranus, as we know, is in Taurus.
Yeah.
And that's going to be happening on July the 16th, around that. But then at the moment, Mars is working its way to meet Uranus in Taurus. So there's this massive buildup of energy. So we've got Mars, the trigger, war god, boom, and meeting up with Uranus. Oh, let's shocks and surprises in Taurus. So these could be inner eruptions, external eruptions. It could be earthquakes. It could be personal earthquakes, depending on what aspect that is making to in your chart. Just be aware. And if you've got very strong Uranus in your chart, just be cautious this month, because you know, I don't want to be fear mongering or anything like that, but just be cautious about that energy, that Mars energy coming up to just give it a boot. Yeah, just be careful. It can create unexpected events or accidents and things like that, which, you know, if you're conscious of that, then you can actually just pay attention to your safety.
Yeah. And just to clarify, so conjunctions kind of amplify the energy of both those archetypal, things. And retrogrades kind of puts an inward aspect towards that.
So the conjunctions go bang, okay, that the two energies meet together and amplify each other, boom. Or it can be boom. That's what I feel like Mars conjunct Uranus could be, that archetypal energy.
Well, Mars is god of war and rules.
Full on. And then when planets are retrograde, there's it takes you in, it puts you inside, it slows things down, it makes you sit back in your chair. It's a forward momentum. It's a more of, as I said, it's like this wave going back out, and then at some point the planets will go direct again, and that's this sense of surging. And I always feel it's a bit like, you know, when a plane comes into land, it kind of comes down in steps. And I feel like that's what's happening in the world today. We're being presented with things in steps. If it just went boom, we'd all be going, oh my God. But I feel like there's more of that to come. And I feel like these retrograde, because it's global, it's transpersonal, it's the big outer planets. It's got a global feel to it. And as we know, globally, things are interesting, and it may slow down and then surge forward again. I think
that Pluto kind of retrograding at the moment in Aquarius, then
going back
into Capricorn, and then going direct, I think, on the 19th of November only in Aquarius.
And then it goes
20
off
years.
into, and all astrologers are expecting quite a significant shift of energy, maybe not on the day, but certainly that will start to shift. Will come out of this sort of heavy Capricorn father, patriarchal, and this is how we've always done it. And it's interesting, it's going back again. And it's very interesting, it's actually going over the US chart at the moment, its own Pluto return again. So there's stuff happening in, you know, everything. Do you know what? Everything is beginning to break down.
It is. Which is so great in a way, because but it's
It's,
just moving through this
yes,
chaos first,
yes,
and
yeah.
yeah.
So it's all interesting, but what I find so interesting as well is that the full moons are asking us to pay attention to our safety and belonging and
Mm,
wanting to be in the world,
mm,
and how we can balance and adapt those two energies together. And then the July's new moon is in Cancer. So again, we've got this very Cancerian energy coming up, and this is all about Cancer is about our emotional welfare, our intuition, and again, it's this sense of relationship with safety and belonging. So the new moon is going to affect anyone with the cardinal signs, particularly. I mean,
mm,
all these moons do.
yeah,
So that's Capricorn, Aries, and Libra, and obviously
mm,
Cancer. They're particularly because they're the cardinal signs.
yeah,
It's going to be an interesting time of, I would just urge people to really listen to themselves and to,
mm,
what I would encourage people to do is, if you fancy doing this, is kind of lighting a candle to your sense of safety and belonging, because we have to develop this if we're going to stand and become the witness that we need to be, because
yeah,
it's pokey out there.
yeah,
So we have to have a
yeah,
solid core, and that's what
exactly.
these moons are inviting us to develop.
Yeah,
And if you feel like you're not sure, what I would encourage you to do is kind of write yourself a letter expressing your feelings about how you were parented and
mm,
what you need to do to parent yourself really authentically.
mm,
Do that work
yeah,
over this month.
yeah. Kind of embracing yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you feel like, I don't feel safe, I've never felt safe,
Mm,
then I would urge anyone to go and find somebody they trust to talk to, or there's a wonderful visualization you can do where you can build an inner sanctum, where
mm,
you can very quickly, it's really easy, and you do it every day, you'll start to feel this sense of building your inner core, where you just imagine you're in a beautiful place, doesn't matter where it is, whatever works for you, and you just build it up, and you look at the sky, and you look what's growing around you, and whatever whatever there is, and just build it, visit it every day.
yeah.
Mine is in my safe place inside me is in a kind of a tree, round of beautiful trees, and I've got my hammock
Nice.
between it. I've got a babbling brook. I've got
Yeah.
beautiful flowers growing there, and I've got my cat who died with
Ah,
me.
cool.
Yeah, and nobody can come into that sanctum.
Mm,
No one. And it's really great if you've been abused on any level, that you
mm,
start to, that's your inner sanctum. Or if it's too painful to go in, which sometimes it is, then find a teddy bear or a cushion or something that you hang on to, so that you can start to feel that sense of warmth and care, and yes, that Cancer, caring for yourself.
mm.
When you're feeling anxious, a really simple thing to do, it's very carefully just do a butterfly kiss like that,
Okay, yeah.
just very carefully. Every time you
Yeah.
feel that sense of fear, just give
Yeah.
yourself a butterfly kiss. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it's an empowering thing to be able to do, to
Yes.
integrate those parts of ourselves,
Yes.
um, and to embrace it with love. That
Yes.
yeah, immense love, which is that Uranus, isn't it?
Well, Uranus,
Neptune.
the higher sense of Neptune is
Neptune.
utter compassion.
Mm,
It's about feeling compassion for yourself, for your
mm.
journey, for where you've been in your life, for what's happened to you in your life. You're passing through.
Yeah.
This is what's happening, and this has been
Mm,
your life experience as you passed through.
yeah.
So honor the journey, that however painful and
Mm,
hideous it it might have been. Honor that that's the journey that you've been on, and the journey is about stepping out of feeling a victim to it, to having utter compassion for yourself and this lifetime, for whatever reason. Some people call it karmic, who knows, I don't want to go there, but just to feel, put your hand, simple as putting your hand on your heart.
Yes, it's such a
Your heartbeat, and just
powerful.
thank you for still beating.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
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 We learned a very interesting thing. We did some work this week with amazing girl, Erica Nabir. She's a dolphin. She works with dolphins as well. So she's a trauma therapist. And she was telling us about the quantum physics aspect of, in physics, I'm just looking for I've written it's an entanglement, a form of entanglement, but it's retrospective as well. So what we do in the present can change the past. I know you and Rick had a conversation around this as well. Rick Levine.
I don't believe we can't change the past, but we can change our relationship to the past.
Yes, which is, the past doesn't really exist, only in our perception of it. And
I find that difficult, because having been a trauma therapist, you tell somebody that they weren't abused.
No, but you can't. No. But you can change their perception of it, and they
exactly. You can change your relationship to what happened. You can't change the past. You can change your relationship with what happened.
Yes. Which I think what we're meaning in that way, you then change the past in how you see it, not how it happened.
Yes, you change. Well, in my words, you change your relationship.
Yeah.
And so you step out of being the victim to it, to to being compassionate. It did happen, but actually I'm okay now.
Yeah, and to embrace that person who it happened to as yourself now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which often can remove that other version of you from the trauma in that.
Exactly. And the
space.
trauma keeps us in a place of the victim persecutor rescuer roles. And we, when you're being a victim, but I think the big one is the more insidious one, in a way, is when we are trapped in being we rather than doing our work, we become the fixer. We want to fix everyone else. It happens all the time. So we're out there fixing everyone else, but we don't do our own work. So that is another way of a kind of symptom that we're not addressing the compassion that we need for ourselves and the healing that we need for ourselves.
Yes, which is that time now.
Yes.
I think, as you've explained, this is now the time to go and see, how do I embrace and not fix, because we can't fix anything. We can just a level of acceptance, I suppose, and endearment is the word that comes up, but it's a strong energy.
And it's just about, cancer is about nurturing, and it's about mothering ourselves. And if we haven't had that, and a lot of us haven't had great parenting. They did their best. Most of them did their best, but it's
it's hard being a parent. We all do our best and we hope for the best.
Hard. But I think, it's, if you're finding yourself, you're constantly appeasing, or you're fixing, or anything like that, or you're over anxious all the time, overwhelmed all the time, then there is this time. This is the time to okay, I'm going to go and get some help now.
Yeah.
And I think, if you're suffering, or if you're suffering, or you're feeling a sense of sacrifice, that you're here to sacrifice yourself, then again, that's a lack of nurturing.
And we have the power to nurture ourselves. Sometimes we need help from outside to realize that, but in essence, we are created in a way that we have a lot more power than we might think.
I think so.
I
I
think
do. I mean, I've been on, I know you on your journey. I've been on my journey. It's a long journey, long
it's
journey to
not.
get well. And that's
Yeah,
why we have, 60 years and 10. We've got a
yeah,
lifetime. And this is the work.
yeah.
Anything else we do in the world is just the context
Mm.
of real work is to get well.
Yeah, and to embrace all the scattered pieces of ourselves, because I think they, depending on how you see life in the world and things, but um maybe there's other parts of us in different times and spaces that
Yes.
we also have a work to embrace and to um yeah,
Mm.
make a whole. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
I think when I declared myself a long time ago, I wanted to get well.
Mm,
I went, right, I want to get well this lifetime. This is what I'm here to do.
mm,
And it's just been a huge journey,
yeah, yeah.
huge journey, and continues to be a huge journey. But I think when you put wellness first before anything, then
Mm.
then the universe goes, oh, good.
Finally.
But we'll do everything we can, even if it's going to be
Yeah.
hideously painful. The journey's there. And every time I went through a very, very, very difficult time, I knew I was getting well.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
knew.
It's all building onto that wellness.
Yes.
Um, and I forgot to check the time, but I think we're probably somewhere around there. And we mentioned this before, but Erica also mentioned it this week. Is kind of, we are here to experience the experience of experiencing life,
Absolutely.
and there's a lot of power in it, but there's also a lot of pain, and there's a lot of messy bits and happy bits, and um, spirals and circles and cycles and all the beautiful things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Doesn't go in a straight line. That is for sure.
No, rivers don't flow in lines
They don't
either.
flow,
So,
no, they don't flow in straight lines.
no. Thank you, Sue.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Always, always a pleasure. I will see you next month.